pop4conservation.com. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where you want to go to support Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation fundraising efforts. Pop4conservation.com is where you can go to be a big winner. 80 winners, over $200,000 in prizes, vehicles, firearms, hunting and fishing packages. Again, 80 winners, over $200K in prizes. Pop4conservation.com, protecting our pursuits. Pop4conservation.com. Go there today to enter. Welcome to the Sportsman's Voice Roundup, your weekly look at conservation and sporting community news happening across the nation and on the Hill. Thanks for tuning in. This is the TSV Roundup. Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Sportsman's Voice Roundup, your weekly look at conservation, hunting, fishing, and recreational shooting news from around the nation. Our lead story this week: CSF and sport fishing community partners release policy recommendations for the next administration and Congress, brought to us by Chris Horton, who will join us momentarily. The USDA Secretary Vilsack issues memo to deliver on-the-ground wildlife migration conservation. Youth hunting seasons in the Great Plains. Hunting in the Southeast has many perks. Protecting your hearing is one of them. It takes a team. The line has been held in California. And finally, take a kid hunting this fall. Another youth article with a different twist. All that and more coming up for this edition, October 21st week of 2024. Before we get to Chris, a couple more plugs here for you. The Pop4 Conservation raffle is coming to an end quickly. We're a little under 2 weeks as this podcast is published. So if you're interested in that, go to Pop4Conservation, POP, 4conservation.com, Pop4Conservation.com. Get over there. Tons of prizes, a bunch of winners, so your odds are pretty good. Get over there and try that out. And last bit of housekeeping here for NASC. If you are a legislator, partner, or anybody else coming to Baton Rouge mid-November, time is running out to register. Hotel room blocks are quickly filling and going to come to a close here within the next week, again, from the publishing of this podcast. All right. We've got all the particulars in order. Let us now welcome in Chris Horton, who's going to give us a good rundown on our suggestions, as well as industry partners, ASA, and the like, of what an incoming administration and new Congress can do for the recreational angling community. Chris, welcome in.
Hey, Fred, it's good to be back.
So, article here, just as I said, spells out the particulars broken down into 3 different categories. Links to the recommendations, the future of sport fishing policy recommendations from the recreational fishing community. Give us a breakdown, some big numbers in here as far as dollars go, and the importance of continuity going into 2020.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. Anytime that you expect a change in administration, and especially, there'll be a new Congress as well. Everything that we do in the policy world, a lot of it's just education and background. So it's always a good idea to put together a series of recommendations or priorities from our community to provide to the new suite of members of Congress, as well as the new administration on the importance of things like the Sport Fishing Boating Safety Trust Fund, the National Fish Habitat Partnership, where we are with marine fisheries management, things we can do on the freshwater side, enhance freshwater habitats, as well as fishing opportunities. So, we put together a pretty comprehensive suite of high-level priorities that we want to continue to work with the next suite of policymakers to be able to realize, to improve our fisheries and fishing access for the future.
You've got this broken down into 3 main categories: national conservation funding, marine fisheries policy proposals, freshwater fisheries policy proposal. Of those, is there a priority in order, or are these all of equal value?
No, they're pretty much all of equal value. Obviously at Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation, we work coast to coast around the nation on recreational angling access and fisheries conservation as well as our partners in the recreational fishing community. I mean, we care about everything from being able to go fishing to making sure that we have healthy fisheries to fish for. So there's really no priority area, but we do want to continue to maintain funding for programs that have been effective at restoring fisheries conservation, like through the National Fish Habitat Partnership Program, which is actually up for reauthorization here soon as part of the American Conservation Enhancement Reauthorization Act, which we've been working towards. And we feel like we're in a really good place with the language there for that to reauthorize it for another 5 years. And, that there's things like, Everglades restoration, which is a very expensive endeavor. It took us decades to really screw up the plumbing for the Everglades, and it's going to take us a long time to get it back to a natural flowing system. And recently, there's been a lot of work. The state of Florida has really stepped up, and they're paying their part. We need to continue to ensure that the federal government continues to match that investment. And they've really made some tremendous progress in recent years. And we're already seeing the benefits of some of those projects, but we need to continue to be able to fund those in the future. And then, fisheries policy, and it comes to access, and a lot of our access battles are on the marine side. And part of that is just our data, recreational catch data it's so limited, and we are strapped by this federal marine recreational information program, which is basically a survey, a broad survey that we've talked about many times. It has a lot of shortfalls, and because of those shortfalls, we're seeing really short seasons for some species like red snapper in the South Atlantic. We're down to 1 day, and most of that is due to the fact that MRIP estimates that we release a lot of fish that they estimate die. So we've got to get a better handle on that. We've got to do a better job. And there's some legislation in the works from Congressman Graves that help to continue in the next Congress to be able to affect that. But there's also opportunities working with NOAA and working with the states to get better data. And we're moving in that direction. And obviously, we're still really concerned about North Atlantic right whales. We want to do all we can to protect that species and to make sure that they thrive and recover. But we don't believe that just blanket speed zones is the way to accomplish that. We feel like there's technological advancements and technologies that are available today could really help us address this issue, and that's where we want to see NOAA focus. And then, shifting over to the freshwater side, we've got a big problem with invasive species across the country. I mean,
Right.
Asian carp is one of those. We need to continue to find ways to innovatively address the threat of Asian carp. And then we have an opportunity with the next farm bill to ensure that we have a really strong conservation title. And the Fisheries and the Farm Bill coalition that we helped put together, we want to make sure that fisheries are elevated as high as wildlife in that conservation title, and ensure that we're doing all that we can to enhance our fisheries resources, beginning in, locally at a farmer's level. So,
Seems that a lot of these items here, like you alluded to earlier, is that a lot of topics we've discussed quite a bit on this program. If you're a faithful listener, a lot of this is kind of redundant, but certainly, again, getting to that continuity with the new administration and new representation on the Hill. You mentioned the right whale issue. Map waters, where are we at on that? I got to imagine some of that's going to fall into this.
yeah, we're still hopeful that in this lame duck we will be able to pass map waters,
Okay.
which is basically requiring all the various federal agencies that have jurisdiction over freshwater systems to be able to put all their data in the same kind of format
Well,
that can be used by the public as well as marine electronics and GPS service providers to be able to provide us with most accurate, up-to-date information on where we can access our fisheries, and are there any special regulations we need to be aware of. And right now, that data is kind of scattered all over the place. In some places, some national forests, you have to find a paper notice on what waters are open.
yeah. Okay.
So we need to make that easier for the public to access.
Yeah, for sure. Shark Act will probably get encompassed in some of this.
That's right. Yeah, the Shark Act, we're still pushing hard on that one to try to get done this Congress, but if not this Congress, we'll definitely pick it back up early in the next Congress. But we need to address the shark depredation issue. We have growing abundant populations of sharks. We need to figure out how to maybe there's some technologies out there that we can use to deter sharks, so that we can continue to access our fisheries without having to worry about some of that fishing mortality going to sharks and not actually anglers.
Folks that are getting the EPUB of this, Chris links to the full report. You can follow that link. It'll bring you to a one-pager infographic here with a QR code. You can scan it for the full report, but it's pretty comprehensive here. Wanted to get to a couple of one of the quotes here from Mike Leonard over at ASA, Vice President of Government Affairs, and it's a big number and one worth highlighting. Each year, 1 out of 6 Americans go fishing, contributing $148 billion to the United States economy. That's nothing to sleep on at all.
Right. No, we have pretty much as much impact, at least certainly in the continental U.S. From a recreational angling perspective as all the commercial fisheries combined, and we catch a much smaller percentage of the fish that are out there. So we have a tremendous economic impact for the country. But also, I mean, recreational fishing is just it's one of the best ways to reconnect people with nature, and you really can't appreciate something unless you can experience it yourself. And fishing is just one of the best ways to get people outdoors and get them connected to nature and to get them thinking about conservation today and in the future.
Super accessible, pretty low budget into the outdoors. We actually talked about this with Johnny Morris a few episodes back around the National Hunting and Fishing Day, and that part of that conversation exactly the ease ability to get in, go buy a $10 to $15 Zebco push button for a kid and a bucket of worms or whatever, and that's man, you're fishing. 16 and under in most states, you're fishing for free, and even still, fishing license isn't all that expensive for residents. So yeah, it's a great in. Another number here: $1.8 billion anglers contribute for conservation and generation annually, and then 90,000 jobs created nationwide off of bank.
Yeah, like again, fishing, recreational fishing's it's been a long-term tradition in this country, and it's when you have a lot of participation, you're gonna have a big industry supporting it, and obviously that industry is important to the economy overall. And as I mentioned, the sport fish restoration and boating trust fund, which is up for reauthorization in this next Congress again. But that fund collects excise taxes on all that tackle that those manufacturers create, as well as a marine fuel tax and small engines tax that all go back to fisheries conservation, come back to the states for their research programs, for their hatcheries, for their building access areas and fishing piers for bank anglers. So it's an incredibly important model that nobody else in the world has, and that's why we have the fishing opportunities that we do from the general public's perspective today, is because of that industry supported excise tax that comes back to fisheries conservation and access.
Awesome stuff. Well, the work never stops, no matter what happens on November 5th. We keep our feet keep running, man. We're still burning it.
Absolutely. Wrapping up this year and looking forward to the next year and getting started, hitting the ground running with these priorities and trying to make a difference for anglers and our fisheries in the future.
Fantastic. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Horton joining us again. We thank you for your contributions and your leadership in this arena. And we will see you in Baton Rouge at NASC.
See y'all there. Thanks, Fred.
All right, Chris. Thanks. All right. Thanks once again to Chris for his contributions to this week's program and that comprehensive report availability. Again, go to congressionalsportsman.org if you're not already subscribing to the EPUB of the Sportsman's Voice. Sign up. It's free. Costs you nothing. I promise you won't get spammed. We don't sell your information. Sign up. Get that every Monday or Tuesday if there's a holiday. And you can get all the links in the article, and you can, like I said, follow that to that one pager, scan the QR code, and get the full report. Okay, moving on. USDA Secretary issues memo to deliver on the ground wildlife migration conservation. Going back to Monday, Secretary of the United States Department of Agriculture issued a secretary's memorandum that will direct agencies within the USDA to improve, conserve terrestrial wildlife habitat connectivity across the country. This effort will help bolster the conservation of migratory wildlife habitat by providing direction to enhance interagency coordination within the USDA, as well as interdepartmental coordination with other important entities such as Department of the Interior and state fish and wildlife agencies. This memo provides direction to important USDA agencies such as U.S. Forest Service, Natural Resources Conservation Service, and Farm Service Agency, and the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service to implement science-based decision-making as it relates to conserving and restoring wildlife habitat connectivity. This effort builds upon the actions by the USDA to conserve migratory wildlife habitat, such as the USDA Migratory Big Game Initiative, which has leveraged existing programmatic funding to conduct voluntary conservation efforts in Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. This from CSF President and CEO Jeff Crane. The CSF thanks the USDA for initiating this effort that will help enhance conservation for migratory wildlife and their associated habitats. He continues, CSF will continue to prioritize wildlife connectivity through Interior Secretarial Order 3362, the Wildlife Highway Crossings Pilot Program, USDA's Migratory Big Game Initiative, the Wildlife Movement through Partnership Act, and now the USDA Secretarial Memo. And quote, some of that we've covered previously on this show. Go back and check out more of those deep dives if you so choose. Wildlife migration and habitat connectivity continues to be a top priority for CSF. In September, CSF Director of Federal Relations Taylor Schmitz testified before the House Natural Resource Committee Subcommittee on Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries on the Wildlife Movements Through Partnerships Act 8836. Again, covered that. That was on some of the Hill recap there. Do go back and listen to that. It was pretty interesting. Hear from Congresswoman Dingell, Wild Sheep Foundation, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation on that. Some good content there. This legislation seeks to solidify the Department of Interior Secretarial Order 3362, which seeks to conserve big game migration corridors and winter ranges across 11 western states by providing much needed funding to expand this effort nationwide. Additionally, CSF was a main driver behind Wildlife Crossing Pilot Program contained in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which marked the first time that federal funding was dedicated by Congress to build critical infrastructure for wildlife across roads and highways. Additionally, Taylor Schmitz serves as the chairman of the American Wildlife Conservation Partners. During his chairmanship, AWCP released Wildlife for the 21st Century, which includes a standalone recommendation related to the issue of wildlife migration. CSF looks forward to continuing to work with USDA through the Hunting and Wildlife Conservation Council, to which Jeff Crane is a member of, and other venues to deliver conservation for our nation's wild. Again, you can follow the links, the in-article links to read those acts, to check out the Wildlife 21st Century report. Let's head to the Great Plains, where one of two articles around youth hunting season is highlighted here from Jake Gould. Jake starts out, many states in the Midwest and across the country offer opportunities for youth hunters to hit the field in pursuit of game species, including deer, duck, turkeys, pheasants, et al. Before the season is open to the public, states offering youth hunting seasons provide a great opportunity for young hunters to participate in time-honored traditions in a less crowded, low-pressure environment, while also giving them a great opportunity to learn from its mentor. Hunting recruitment Retention and reactivation, R3, is a key element of ensuring a bright future for our sport and conservation traditions, and youth hunting seasons provide great opportunity to welcome new participants into hunting. Many of the great state plans offer those youth hunting seasons. These hunting seasons are also a great opportunity, we just said, for teaching the importance of safe and ethical hunting before they start to hit the woods as adults. In Iowa, the youth deer season starts on September 21st, last month, and allowed youth hunters to be in the field a week before the season opened for the early archery season. That's pretty awesome. Iowa Department of Natural Resources has seen a great start to their youth deer hunting seasons with a higher than average number of harvested deer being registered. In Nebraska, they offer a special youth hunt season for pheasants for hunters under the age of 15, allowing them the opportunity to hunt with a mentor in a controlled environment where roosters will be released. Having a successful hunt can be important to helping keep young hunters engaged and motivated to continue hunting as they get older. Finally, in North Dakota, they held their youth pheasant hunting weekend at the beginning of October, allowing hunters 15 and under to go afield and do that in such a less pressured environment. Jake goes on to report North Dakota Game and Fish Department also offers a 1-year apprentice hunter validation for hunters 12 and older. This allows youth hunters an opportunity to participate in pheasant youth hunting weekend without needing to pass a hunter education course. It's a good deal there. Hunting in the Southwest has many perks. Protecting your hearing is one of them. Connor Barker reports on the use of silencers, suppressors, whatever your name for them is. According to our partners at the American Suppressor Association, hunters and recreational shooters are among the groups that face the most serious threats of hearing loss. Firearm suppressors mitigate the sound signature of a firearm, often reducing the noise from a gunshot by 20 to 35 decibels. Currently, all southeastern states permit the use of firearm suppressors for hunting. That is awesome. Again, if you're a long-time listener, we've covered this in depth, the many benefits of the use of suppressors for the safety, for the maintenance of your personal hearing, your eardrums, but also as being good neighbors, being able to keep that noise down, the report of that firearm down, and not drawing attention to yourself, but also not annoying your neighbors, right? I mean, if you live in a kind of a built up on the fringe of a suburban community where you are allowed to hunt legally and your distances are all legal and everything's up to par, but the HOA 500 yards away might still be able to hear that firearm. It's best to be good neighbors, so your suppressors definitely allow you to do that. Connor goes on to highlight processing times are down, and these historic lows, and hunting with suppressors being now permitted in the Southeast states is an excellent time for hunters to take advantage of that. And again, reporting from a couple of weeks ago, learning that not only are those wait times historically low, some of them are a week or under, which is a far cry from the not so far ago 9 to 12 month wait on getting cleared for the purchase and the accept suppressor. With the growing popularity of suppressors, the Southeast is not alone in allowing hunters to utilize suppressors for hunting. Most recently, thanks to efforts spearheaded by the Vermont Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus, hunting with the suppressors are permanently authorized this year, removing the 2-year sunset provision previously in place, which was a great win up here. Again, past reporting and tip of the cap to Executive Council member Representative Pat Brennan for his work and our work with the Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus there in Vermont. Nationally, suppressor ownership is legal in 42 states and is legal for hunting in 41 states. CSF will continue working alongside Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus across the country and our partners at ASA to advocate for suppressor ownership and their use for hunting. 42 states ownership, 41 in the states you can use to hunt. The one state that you can own, but oddly enough, you can't hunt with is Connecticut. So work to do there. And then obviously fully in 8 other states. Thanks for that reporting, Connor. Pick up again with Barry Snell here, going back to California. Let's see here. Barry's article, the line has been held in California. It picks up where we reported last week about the 16 lackluster anti-gun bills that were signed by the governor there in California. But what went unsaid was a tremendous effort by our caucus members and the in-state partners to create a surprising outcome. This year, with a very aggressive anti-firearm and anti-sportsman agenda in California's legislature. But thanks to the teamwork shown in Sacramento, the year ended with a fizzle compared to what has become annual tradition with diminishing gun rights over the years. And while 16 new laws sounds like a lot, most of them will have an impact on sportsmen and women, if any impact at all, thanks to the amendments championed by Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation and made real by members of the California Outdoor Sporting Caucus and partners within California's sporting conservation community. To put things into perspective, over 6,000 bills were considered in California this year, which is more than many other states combined. Earlier in the year, approximately 40 bills that would have had some negative effect on firearms use and possession, such as new storage requirements, new gun taxes, etc., were killed outright before publication, never seeing the light of day. This batch also included 4 land access proposals that were promptly. These bills would have restricted firearm use on public property, like carrying firearms, hunting, prohibited building ranges, and so on. Further, 7 bills that would have restricted the use of dogs while hunting were submitted, and all were defeated, including one that would have prohibited the purchase or importation of Labrador retrievers. Huh? Oh, and it continues, German short-haired pointers and other breeds in an effort to choke off the supply of hunting dogs in the state and ended the practice of hunting with dogs that way. That is a potential whole nother show to have there. That's crazy. Like you would like a lab seemingly is like, I don't know, I'm going to call it America's family dog, golden retriever lab. I mean, these working dog breeds, these traditional hunting dogs that have become family members really in most Americans' households that have a pup. I mean, that's insane. Anyway, moving on. Maybe we'll make a note there for a show at another time. It'd be a good show to get into, like find out the why. Barry continues, naturally, there was a host of firearm legislation that would have affected the next generation of hunters and shooters, like AB 262 that would have given oversight authority to anti-gun organizations and severely restricted firearms youth in summer camps like the Boy Scouts, church camps, law enforcement explorer camps, and so on, and for state mandated program on these camps that contained an anti-gun narrative. There was also AB 1869, which would have prohibited any firearm advertisements whatsoever anywhere to anyone. This too was defeated. Yeah, that's a bummer. And there was one I'm reminded of a few years ago that most people got onto that was equally as tough and insane to enforce, and that would have put a lot of conservation organizations, many of our partners, in jeopardy with their 5013 status and Yeah, just a mess. But wait, there's more. Another bill, Senate Bill 1160, would have taxed gun owners on every single firearm they own. We have covered this, and we talked about this with Barry last week. Every single firearm they own, every single year, it would have required them to also report the physical location of those guns. Go back and listen to Barry's description of this. It really is quite remarkable and insane, truly. Um, how your insurance would have covered it. Like if you move the gun from where you initially reported it in your bedroom to, say, a basement safe, like, first of all, it's none of your damn business, California. Second of all, I mean, all right, go back and listen to Barry's explanation of this. All that to say that was killed. Yeah, man, it's just wild what goes on out there. Barry wraps up here. The list goes on, but despite the multitude of bills that were tracked and engaged upon in California in 2024, salient point this: most were defeated sound. So 16 new laws may seem like a lot, uh, and it certainly would be in states like Iowa or Arkansas. It is important to stop for a moment and consider just how much ground was held in California, one of the most challenging states for sportsmen and women. Indeed. That's a big haul. It's a big line, like you said, to draw. And whew, good thing for those in-state partners and that Sportsman's Caucus there at California to be proactive and just snuffing those things out. Again, you can go back to the reporting last week, go back to the roundup from last week on the podcast. Get Hair Bears reporting on that. Wrapping up this week's show, bring in an article by yours truly here. Another youth-focused article with a twist. Take a kid hunting this fall. With fall hunting seasons in full swing, many states have youth seasons on the calendar, and young hunters are giddy with excitement. While many kids who were born in a generational tradition of hunting have quick access to exciting experiences in the field, there are others with a hunger and a passionate interest in hunting who lack such familiar support. It's no secret hunting participation numbers are down. Hunting heritage and our participation in the North American model of wildlife conservation, as well as the American system of conservation funding, are to survive. Well, friends, as the song goes, believe the children are our future. You know that. Some important numbers here to highlight: the percentage of U.S. citizens who hunted has been generally declining since 1982. In 2023, there were 15.92 million certified paid hunting license holders, resulting in an effective participation rate of 4.7%, down from 16.75 million hunters at 7.2% participation in 1982. In response to declining number of sportsmen and women, state fish and wildlife agencies, conservation organizations, shooting sports organizations, and the hunting shooting sports industry have invested heavily in R3 initiatives. Over 450 individual R3 programs nationwide have had limited regional success, but haven't sufficiently addressed the overall decline in hunting. The first R in R3, recruitment, is the most basic idea and a step the sporting community must take to ensure our traditions, management, and funding models continue to exist long after we have departed our earthly constraints. While the R3 movement is not focused solely on youth hunters, it is youth hunters that will carry on our traditions as they mature into contributing members and leaders in the sporting community. Youth hunting seasons present a great opportunity to bring young folks afield without the hunting pressure and presence of regular licensed hunters. It creates more of a controlled environment for budding sports boys and girls to focus on developing their skill sets with a family member or mentor. If you find yourself as an empty nester, maybe haven't started a family yet of your own, but you like going out, you can certainly lend your years of experience to a young person. You should do it. Learn to hunt programs put on by our state fish and wildlife agencies are a great place to start and volunteer. Additionally, going through the state is advantageous for such mentorship because most of them, I believe all of them, will put you through some vetting process, background check, or just so that everybody is above board, everyone's safe, and they can normally set up those mentor hunts and get those ratios right for everyone's safety too. So, but of course, if you got a niece, nephew, or something like that, take them out. There's a good opportunity there. Finally, if we're going to stem the tide of falling numbers in hunting participation, those of us with means to mentor should be an active participant in the solution and not a passive onlooker. CSF will continue to inform lawmakers about the importance of promoting hunting participation to ensure policies are in place to promote our traditions to future generations. There you go. That's it for the week of October 21, 2024. Boy, it's cruising, man. The calendar's cruising. We're a couple weeks away from pretty big election, not just at the national level, at the local level. All of those state legislative sportsmen's caucuses we work with. Going to be some new faces, going to be some people just retiring. Whatever happens, we look forward to welcoming the new, continue to work with our current co-chairs, our current caucus members, and advocating and educating on behalf of all of America's sportsmen, women, and doing what we do here at CSF and do so very well. Obviously from Chris Horton's reporting, and then also we'll get reporting from Taylor here coming up on the companion piece to the fishing report. There is one for shooting and hunting, so we'll get Taylor's comments on that. But no shortage of excitement and activity even here in the home stretch of 2024. Continued success to all of you in the field, and be safe, get home to your families, make good shots, and don't forget to get involved with the raffle that is ending November 3rd. And get out and vote, man. It's coming. And you don't want to be the one that sat out of this one when every single one of you, your vote matters. All right. As always, CSF is your inside connection to outdoor legislation. We will see you next Wednesday for a weekly roundup. This Thursday, tomorrow, feature presentation. We welcome in Greg Ritz, Thompson Center Arms, talking muzzle loading, brand, the history of Thompson Center, and then we're going to dive into fire stick technology, work we're doing here at CSF to bring that access to that technology to all estates in the country. And with that, we'll close shop. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. So long. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, your support is crucial, and you can help us out right now by leaving a review, filling in those 5 stars where available, sharing this episode with friends and family, and engaging with us socially. CSF can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Together, we can protect the outdoor sports we love and continue to keep you informed wherever you are. That's it for this week. Until next time, we'll see you later.